Willem, welcome back. I hope you had a nice break.
It's been a long time.
Welcome to our follow-up podcast with Willem Wigman of Hyvä. And we're going to get into the last episode. If you didn't listen to it, we talked about the origin story. And now we're going to get into current state. But we're going to start with the open source, going open source with the main product, Hyvä. When did you decide to make that decision? And what was the philosophy around that? And a little bit more about the philosophy you guys have of the company and the platform.
So the plan to go open source, that was very early on. I remember when Vinay Kopp joined me as a partner in the company, that was like 2021. So very early days. We had a whiteboard where we wrote out all of our ideas, and creating an open source product was one of those. And we decided on a strategy how we could help this ecosystem grow and nurture it, and what was needed to fill the gaps that Adobe was dropping, or the gaps that they were creating. It was a very different time than today. I think we accomplished a lot in the ecosystem. Adobe bought a product. Most of the people that were in touch with the Magento ecosystem and community, they left Adobe, and the leadership that came in their place didn't really have a feeling for what this community was, and they acquired the code base, and it powered Adobe Commerce, and yeah, it's on GitHub somewhere, but surely in a couple of years no one is really still interested in using this. That's the taste that we got, and I think from the conversations that we then later had with our leadership, they asked us, like, define our strategy, like, tell us, how do you see open source helping Adobe Commerce? Like, what's the growth path that you see, or the sales funnel? Or because we have an issue recognizing that today. Vina and I came up with the idea to write an open letter to alarm the ecosystem, like we need to step in, and that eventually led to MageOS, where we got major backing from a lot of key people in the Magento ecosystem, us playing a role in shepherding the Magento code base was always there, and we saw that having a commercial company was crucial to build up a reputation and to back an effort like this. So that's what we did. We built Hyvä as a brand to establish trust, and then use the resources that we got through that to help the Magento community as much as we could. So voluntarily, we've been building and growing MageOS. We've been serving the Magento Association as much as we could. We've been investing in Magento events across the world. We really have a huge budget in man hours and in funding for the Magento community. And that's only because we are a commercial company. And very soon we decided that Magento, the Hyvä team, was the baseline product to help us grow. And whatever returns we got from that, we used immediately to, like I said in the previous episode, we started building checkout in the year that we went live with the team. Like, we had money to hire 2 more people. We started building 2 more products, because from there on, we already had the idea, like, if we create enough additional revenue that we can do without the team revenue, the team will become open source. Mm-hmm. And there was a balance, like we needed to get to a point where we both had enough people to continue to build out the company and the products, and have enough revenue to be able to basically cut the revenue in half, which is what we did last November. And that was very Very scary. Well, scary. We were confident because we had backing from Molly and Hypernote as partners, but especially a buffer that we built up through the years, so that we easily could do without revenue for a year and still survive. That gave me the confidence that making the team open source would grow our user base enough to have a bigger addressable market to sell the other products to, and the other products would mature enough to fill up the gap that this revenue, the lost revenue created. And it was a long-term strategy. I think we couldn't have played it out any better than this. Would have been really hard to do it sooner. And it felt like a crucial point in time last year where, we need to up the fight against other platforms and make a stand for Magento and lowering the threshold for people to use Hyvä even more, like making the base product free. That's huge. That means like without budget, if you're okay with a computer, and especially now with AI, you can spin up a Hyvä site and it will be faster than any other Magento site. It's up to you to make it slower. That's always possible, but.
Is it fair to say that the Hyvä theme has become top of the funnel for you guys? So instead of it being revenue generating, it's just broadening your reach. It's getting more people in the funnel, and now you can upsell them on other features, other products.
Yeah, it's classic Magento versus Magento Enterprise. Back in the days, Magento Enterprise was an upsell to Magento because it was only a package that you would add to Magento. Today, the gap between what Magento is and what Adobe Commerce is so big that it's basically a replatform, because someone goes from a Luma site to something microservices, headless, and it's moving like they built PWA Studio and then they kind of trashed it. So anyone who invested in that now has to again build a new headless implementation. And I spoke with Brent Peterson this week. He asked me about opinion on something that he wrote on LinkedIn about the funnel. He said the funnel between Magento and Adobe Commerce turned around, it inverted. Like Adobe Commerce has become a sales funnel for Magento. And I wrote to him like, the ladder is missing all the steps from the floor to the ceiling. There's no way to go from Magento open source up to Adobe Commerce unless you build everything from scratch and you have a lot of budget. And I think that's just losing sight of real life implementation, customer needs, like understanding if you're currently on Luma, what would it take to upgrade? And that's not really an upgrade, it's a replatform. And at that point, people are going to evaluate platforms. Yeah. And I know they're doing well because they focus on Experience Manager, right? Adobe Commerce is an add-on to Experience Manager. Yeah. Those are the customers that they're targeting. And that's going well for them.
And it's enterprise only, really. It's they're not selling it to small businesses. Yeah. But besides that, I think we have to be incredibly grateful for what Adobe does for the ecosystem. In the past 4 years, I think they've made a turnaround. They've really supported the community. Once they realized, like, what's there for them to leverage. And of course, Magento is still powering Adobe Commerce. And I think there's a way better mutual understanding also from the community, understanding what Adobe's here to give us. And that's quite a lot, but it's not what we would ideally see. Like, we would like to see a flourishing Magento platform that would get new features. But now we know it's pretty clear. Like, I think we should consider it we should consider it a framework that we build e-commerce on. And I think that's maybe a direction with MageOS what we could take is that Magento becomes the backbone for other platforms to build on. Like Adobe Commerce builds on Magento and they treat it as a framework.
Hyvä treats Magento more or less as a framework. Let others do the same, and we as a community we maintain and build this platform together.
Yeah, and it's the open source community can't control Adobe's roadmap, but at the same time, Adobe's not controlling the open source community's roadmap. Like we can have, and I think there's been obviously some critiques of Adobe maybe not moving forward in areas where the commerce platform could have improved, and they did one thing and tried to SaaSify it essentially over maybe building out some other components. At the
worst possible timing.
I know.
just when AI is changing the game and open source is the that's now your weapon. Like you own the code. Yeah. AI helps you write plugins that you can easily maintain. You don't pay for all the subscriptions. You only build what you need. You don't need all these extensions that come with a lot of extra features. Building a store is quicker than ever. Just owning your own code. That's owning your own data.
Yeah, we've been, a lot of these podcasts we've touched on AI, obviously, because it's impossible not to. But like one of the prevailing theories is that there was fear about what AI would do with the open source community. The relevance of open source, was it going to diminish or was it going to increase? I think most recently everyone's like, it's going to increase. Like the idea of having open source code powered with the ability, like you said, to build stuff using AI the way you need it to, maybe in small deployments, so you're not building a monolith. You're doing like a specific thing that you need just for your specific business. You're attaching it to this open source framework or open source platform. Like also, there's that where you don't have the freedom to do that in a closed system or a SaaS system. But I also think all the energy around AI has got the business side, the merchants now thinking, oh, the time is right for us to try to do new things. And so we're seeing a lot more interest and openness with our clients saying, hey, what if we did this? And this is a problem that's been a piece of friction for us for years. Can we fix this? And so it's created a lot of opportunities because I think people's perceptions of technology changing fast, and they don't want to miss out. That's part of it, but also it's like, well, I think these sprints are shortening, and the costs are shortening, and the quality's going up. So maybe it is time to start building some custom stuff, and that's what we've seen. I don't know if
it's strategy and product vision and execution. That's all going to count way more. The code is becoming a commodity. Mm-hmm. It's kind of challenging using it a lot because you're building something that would normally take 2 months in, let's say, 2 days. But still, you're the product manager of that, and you have AI working for you, but you need to check every single thing they do and switch contexts all the time and like prepare all that, everything that you would normally do in stages and iterate over. That happens minutes apart instead of days apart. Mm-hmm. So it's quite taxing on the brain.
Yeah, I find it can be kind of mentally exhausting. Like using AI, you get kind of fried. Like the output's so fast, you don't have time to process it. And I find like I do step away and take walks. Like I need to kind of, my organic brain, my analog brain needs to like process this in a natural way.
But this will all normalize. It's so new, and we'll find a way. And things are moving so fast. It's pretty cool though. The challenge is not to build too much. Actually, we have such a high standard of quality at Hyvä, and that will not change. Like the outcome is as good as we as humans can verify it or like control it, and you easily get a lot of bloat. But we have extremely experienced people. They got a lot more efficient now. That's pretty cool. And it's like debugging stuff. So let's not continue too much on AI. But the amazing things is just like you give it a screenshot of an issue that you have, and it's an error code, and it just comes back. You know, when it's a race condition, and you would normally have taken a day just to find out what the circumstances are, like to get this race condition, it happens in minutes. So everything that you normally would put on hold and push forward, because it's only one of 1,000 customers experiences this issue. It's not super urgent. All of that backlog can just be cleaned up, and you can focus on actually building value and features.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely no going back. You probably read that article about Mythos and the Firefox browser, and how they came up with 274 bugs in 1 month, and they were bug fixes, or not bug fixes.
Oh, our security officer is busier than ever.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we don't need to go on and on about AI. I agree. We've kind of beat it to death in the last couple of years, everybody. But let's get back to, since this is the Magento Association podcast, and we have the opportunity to have you on. We talked about open source, going open source with the theme, and a little bit on the philosophy. Obviously, you said things have gotten better. You feel like the relationship with Adobe, there's more understanding now in the last few years. I know the Magento Association is also super motivated to advance the brand and the platform and the ecosystem. So I talked to Ben Marks the other day. He's super excited about coming on the board. I know you've played a key role over the years in the entire ecosystem, maybe one of the biggest roles, to be honest with you. I think your company's really just breathed a lot of new, fresh, optimistic air to the ecosystem, which, I thank you for personally. But
appreciate it.
Where do you you're welcome. So where do you see things going? And what's your vision for the next year or two? What do you hope will happen, and what are you focused on?
For us, it's stable growth. We want to continue to build products that offer value to our customers, and it's maybe kind of a cheesy answer when we zoom out for the Magento ecosystem. We're here to support and to help the Magento Association and MageOS. My partner Vinay is still head of the board of MageOS. I stepped down on the Magento Association board when my daughter was almost born, because I felt I was providing value just in the meetings that we had, and just most of my work on the MA was just signaling things in the community, discussing it on the board, making sure that Adobe learned about it and then acted on it. That's the main thing. And then whenever we took decisions about how to run events or anything that happened in the MA, I tried to just make sure that we made decisions that would not upset people, that would help the ecosystem, and bring Adobe and Magento closer, and make sure that when Adobe was about to do something questionable, without bad intentions, but I would already feel like they would change license headers, and we would find out before the community had a big outlash. So we would make sure that Adobe, within just a week would revert all proprietary copyright notices on GitHub, because it was a very bad sign to the community if they would suddenly remove the open source licensing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a small thing. And there were a lot of occasions like this, and I'm in a lucky position to talk to 900 agency owners, and we have a community of nearly 10,000 people all combined, and we go to events and we speak to people. So a lot of information reaches me, and I was happy to be able to share that on the board. But Joshua Warren left as president, or main chair of the MA, and then Slava stepped up. He took his role for a year, and there was immediate change when Slava did that. And that was very good for the MA. He really had a tight schedule for meetings. He kept things on point, and started to demand pretty much from board members to contribute in more ways than just speaking at the board meetings, which I think was a very good step. And I felt like I couldn't deliver that value. And at one point, I just said, I feel like I add value in the meetings, but I feel like it's unfair to new board members who are joining, who need to go onto a commission and, put in the work. I feel I should do that as well, but I have a company to run that's eats me. And then I have a baby coming up, so I don't see how I can step up. But they know, they have my number. They can reach out to me anytime. I'll do pretty much anything to help the MA. We have a very good relationship. And I think the MA is evolving quickly. I think getting rid of Smith Bucklin shortly after I joined, that was good, because they weren't doing much for the MA. They were writing checks for themselves. And that's just, the MA was set up with a certain vision, and that didn't really come to fruition. And then they stayed around for too long. Switching to Matthias was, I think, a good move to start with then. And now Ben Mark's taking over that role, but not entirely, splitting that role up into. I just saw that there's now eight employees for the MA since this week. I just saw the newsletter. Also that there's a lot of improvements. Just the newsletter is good, it's concrete. This podcast is amazing, and I want to compliment you. I drove for 6 hours last weekend, and I listened to all of the episodes, and that's why I had this to do, to schedule a podcast, and I listened to all of them. It's okay, now I really have to commit to this. So that's why we're talking now. But also the graphic design, the marketing stuff, it's major improvements, and I like the fresh wind that's blowing through the MA. And I think they're really important. One, for the connection to Adobe, which is just very important still. But also for all the event stuff that's happening. And who knows what else they will take on in the future. I feel we're in a really good spot with the maintenance of the Magento platform by Adobe. There's still commitment long-term there. They depend on it. Even with a SaaS solution, it's Magento PHP code running in a black box. You can't touch it, but it's Magento open source. So that's another... When they announced that, I was really happy, because it was another sign that they're extending their dependency on Magento open source. That's a big win for us. So we have that vendor backing. We get security updates, performance improvements. And then we have a community that's all armed with Cloud Pro accounts that, will make the platform fly, and it was already a good platform. The things that we can now do with it is, it feels endless.
All right, well, we'll leave it there, Willem. I could talk to you forever, but I know you're a busy person, and I don't want to take too much more of your time. I just will like to say the Magento Association is growing. There's a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and it's in no small part what you've done with Hyvä. I think you personally have done a great service to the community, and I really appreciate all the work you're doing. So I thank you, and I thank you for taking time on the podcast. All right,
I enjoyed it. I'm kind of sad that it's ending. If I can leave with one final note, I think if you put your money on the MA, it's worth it. If you are in this community, the MA is working for you. And that's not just making sure that Magento events are still around. It's reaching merchants. It's investing in this community. Adobe is matching any sponsorship that you do. So that's also extra commitment from Adobe. They're doing more merchant-facing events. Like we go to expos. We did one where the MA was involved in the Netherlands. And we get to, with the help of the MA, we get to put this big-ass Magento logo on the booth in the main hall of an expo. And that helps any professional working with Magento. It helps that Magento is represented at these events. And you should make sure that we keep this wheel spinning, and we all push the wheel a little bit. Small contributions make a big difference, and the MA is putting in the work.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Willem. This is Matt Harris, and on the Magento Association Podcast with Willem Wigman. Appreciate you taking the time. Catch us wherever you listen to podcasts. We have a YouTube channel, magentoassociation.org website. We'll see you next time.